Now, let's discuss why we should have confidence in tomorrow. Member of Congress, Paulina Luna, Republican, Florida, will be there. It's good to see you, friend.
Nice to see you, Cuomo. What's going on?
So how are you feeling about it tomorrow and why?
Good. In fact, this is going to be the first UAP hearing for the task force specifically. So previously under different direction, different leadership. Me, Burchett, and Burleson, although we attended, we were not the ones directly, directing the actual task force as a whole. And so everything that you stated, which is pretty good investigating, might I add, there is one other thing that we will be showing that we have not announced yet. And so everyone will just have to tune in. But again, even as far as the task force goes, it doesn't mean that we're not still facing some problems on the back end. As I've stated very publicly, the task force has in some instances been denied need to know, and I'll be making that statement and that point in my opening dialogue tomorrow morning. But we have some good testimony from witnesses, not to mention, again, you should ask Rush about the weird incident that happened prior to him going into the skiff with me and Representative Burleson. Something happened as he was driving in to do a VTC with us. So it's very interesting kind of handling this topic. Obviously, anytime someone says, no, don't look there, you know me, Cuomo, I always tend to look and see what we can find. And what I can tell you is, there are many people from all across the DOD, across the entire U.S. government. Over 30 people, to include our own Secretary of State, have come forward and said, there's something here. And so I think to question it, to look at the evidence, and then decide for yourself what you have to see on the matter. Joe
Khalil, NewsNation, got us the reporting. You can't just throw the Grush thing out there like that and not tell me what do you know about it? And why do I have to ask him? Do you know what it is?
Because I don't want to take that away from him, and law enforcement is involved. But in my opinion, if you are going to brandish any weapons at congressional staffers, it's very alarming, and I will leave it at that. But what I can tell you is it was very interesting in timing, and based on what we've heard previously with some of these witnesses, to include some witness testimony that you'll hear tomorrow, this is not the first documented case of this, which is incredibly important as to how do we address this in the future. First of all, whistleblower protections need to be a lot stronger. We also have different UAP legislation where these members of Congress are coming together. And I do think that also, there's a lot going on in the Hill. As you know, Cuomo, there's a lot of partisan stuff, but this is one of the few bipartisan things that we've been collectively able to work on together.
Yeah, it should be. It's always astounded me. People laugh at us a lot about our intensity on it, like, oh, little green men. It's not about little green men. It's about transparency. It's about all the money and military and other operations that are done in our name as citizens that they won't tell us about. What is the context for the Russia program? What can we expect about that? Obviously, when you hear Russia, people's eyes light up.
Yeah, so there's over 300 pages that will be submitted into the congressional record, of which people will be able to go through themselves. And really my main question for Mr. Knapp is, and of course every member of Congress wants to know, how do you prove that this isn't actual disinformation that was handed over to American journalists or smuggled out of Russia by the KGB? And I think the real answer to that, in my opinion, is that we're not the only country that's actually looked into this. We actually have multiple parliaments that have announced hearings similar to what we're doing here in Washington, D.C., ranging from Mexico to Brazil to other countries as well, that are looking into launching their own task force. And so, to my knowledge, the Russian government did have something similar. I can tell you, Cuomo, that I actually met with the Russian government recently and asked them point blank if they had any information to share on this topic. And on that same front, we are looking forward to actually doing a bipartisan meeting with the Russian parliament here pretty soon. So we're trying to get that on the books. But either which way, I think, this topic as a whole, specifically everything that tomorrow is going to cover, as far as we're concerned, for one of our first task force hearing on this topic. As you know, we've been covering JFK, and we'll also be getting into MLK, but this is some pretty historic stuff here.